Chapter 6: The Counter-Proposal and Solutions to Wokeism. The core error in each of the successive historical inflection points, where God's creative design and human purpose come under overpowering assault, is that the offending ideology at base rejects and replaces a benevolent source of all, God, with something less, reason or matter, for example, and in doing so removes our natural purpose to live and interact with love, beauty, and creative self-determination. Both, a benevolent creator and bright human purpose, are removed and replaced in left-side liberation movements, rationalism and humanism of the Renaissance era, 17th century, materialism of the communist era, 20th century, and wokeism of our present moment, 21st century. The first two modern sans or anti-God movements, French Revolution and the Communist Revolution, eventually were overcome, but not before massive amounts of carnage, destruction, and despair. By having done this twice, we now know that there is an exact way to defeat dark ideologies of conflict and violence. The starting point requires clear-eyed, rigorous blueprints and roadmaps to secure faith and truth in such a way that truth can meet the deepest challenges presented at each age. Studying the two prior ideologies, revolutions, and how they were successfully turned back is crucial to guide our steps in the present time. Once the pattern is known, the next step is to create, in our current time of radical scientific and technological change, a counter-proposal to wokeism that reestablishes for the affirmation of divine origins and divine human purpose. The work is to win this plateau with full confidence, fully capable of embracing unconditionally the constructive potential of even the most far-reaching horizons of contemporary science and technology. If we can win this battle now, before the gulags and genocide get any further along, we will have done a great service to our children, and for our brothers and sisters the world over who want nothing more than the freedom to build happy and hopeful families. Core elements to the weak counter-proposal. The elemental bases for left-based terror have been and will always be the same, all the way from the biblical figure Cain to the Soviet Union's Joseph Stalin. These core foundations and elements are separation from God, separation from divine purpose and divinely created human nature, separation from divine foundations and guidelines for harmonious, constructive social ideals, and separation from personal responsibility for good and bad circumstances and outcomes. Since the basis of the problem is always the same in its most essential points, the basis for overcoming destruction likewise will have a great many similarities in each historical case of new radical left, totalitarian establishment. The complete study of weak education shows how the right side of Western civilization battled to hold its ground against the social deterioration and terror each time the non- or anti-God ruling systems were realized by the progressive left. This includes the French Enlightenment cult of reason at the time of the French Revolution, and the hegemonic era of Marxist materialism from the 19th century onwards. Because destructive ideologies remain unchanged at their core, the same is true for winning over them. The essential origin points of regaining and securing constructive, harmonious, and progressive society also remains the same. While this fact is true, it is very important to be aware, on the other hand, that life in the world progresses, and conditions of human life in the world develop and take on new complexities as providential history moves forward. Circumstances in the world now are very different from how they were in the 17th century, and even different from life at the turn of the 20th century. Most recently, we have moved from the dawn of the Industrial Revolution to the realm of technology that boggles the mind. Defeating communism happened in economic and geopolitical circumstances that were wholly different from life in the world today. This means that to overcome the horror that surrounds today, we must attain new levels of thought and reflection related to sensitive and challenging issues that did not confront our courageous warriors and wholesome thinkers in previous times. Our mission to preserve the ideals of human goodness and purpose, and of safe, harmonious, and progressive societies, requires that we must be able to meet the extreme and rapid changes of our time. Nostalgic or outdated affirmations and pursuits cannot withstand any dark force that seeks to and is willing to seize command of all the forces of modern development. This means champions of the ideals of good must conquer a certain paradox. That is this. Though our ideals and guidelines for how to live a good life are as old as Adam and Eve, our responsibility to bring those ideals effectively into the present for ourselves, families, neighborhoods, and future generations are elusive and complex. It is not an exaggeration to say that what we hold to be true and self-evident must nevertheless be to speak about matters as cryptic as AGI, artificial general intelligence, or loop quantum gravity. I do not present these facts to scare or discourage anyone. I do so simply to show that WICC education and other contemporary challenges to the radical left cannot be careless or simplistic. One hopeful part of the task we face is that the left is also rooted in a fundamental origin point, the heart of Cain. There is no God or no just God. My problems are not of my own doing, but of someone or some people. The person who somehow is responsible for my disadvantage must be removed, eliminated. I am the author of social norms and conduct, not God. Real or perceived disparity must be met with conflict and violence. These facts, on both the left and the right, in their most basic spirit are always the same. So long as there remains some appeal or some way to bind people to ideologies of vengeance and degradation, it remains the obligation of people of faith and conscience to protect and advance stable, hopeful social ideals. If one side progresses in its capacity and one side remains dormant, clinging to old defenses and analyses, we enter into a realm of danger, such as we are now in. The mission in the face of communist expansion was to defeat an ideology grounded in materialism. Indeed, this is a mouthful and may feel too threatening to face. Nevertheless, this battle is winnable, even at the high school level, and for lay activists. Remember your classmates, ambitious school board hacks, or two-bit politicos who have been captured or purchased by the left are no more conversant with any of this dense and elusive structure of anger, vengeance, and human degradation than we are. By way of introduction to the WICC counter-proposal, there are two things which must be developed to carry us beyond the knowledge, spirituality, and power that enabled the West, especially America, to conquer Soviet communism. 1. All religions and people of conscience must find the resources and divine guidance to dissolve parochial barriers that cripple our ability to forge broader and more powerful reservoirs of collective wisdom and spiritual force. A. Until now, individual religious cultures, say Christianity in some places, Islam or Hinduism in others, have successfully faced off against the non- or anti-God, left perversions like Marxism. This happened in societies that also were monocultural in their social and political expression. Our world is not like that anymore, and if the left can display a convincing mimicry of universalism, single religious cultural spheres will not be sufficient to meet the sophisticated incursion of the radical left that comes at us in waves in America and Europe today. 2. The social foundation based on the individual found in the constitutional guarantees of rights and freedoms needs to be integrated into a concept in which the loving family can function as the cornerstone and primary building block of society. This needs to be pursued philosophically and ideologically. The freedoms guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights are understood to be individual liberties. Indeed, they are and forever will be. These liberties and ideals found in the U.S. Constitution are emulated in every great democracy since the U.S. founding. The problem is that these rights and liberties given by God can only flourish in societies and cultures that are moral and good. Rapid secularization occurred in the 20th century due to the rise of science. This was followed by moral breakdown tied to psychology and liberation movements of the 1960s, which were then catapulted into a kind of a deathblow status in the post-Google age of technology and social media addiction. This evolution has crippled established religion from standing as an effective force for goodness and the moral development of individuals. For this reason, individual freedom has now become expressed in grotesque and perverse applications, defiling every inch of free societies, including even to the sacrosanct sphere of the precious innocence of children. As established religion recovers and reconstitutes itself to be compelling, In our age of technological miracle, loving families can accomplish what religious presuppositions once did. Constitutionally guaranteed individual freedom can flourish under the natural guide rails of respect and love found in loving families. This social institution can win in our mission to restore the original ideals of American life. Both affirmations, the lessening of parochialism and the culture of family as the basic unit of society, are carefully developed in the full teaching of weak education. These simple starting points will bring America back from the precipice of annihilation by the radical left, institutional infiltration, and dominance. Through this, we can go forward with beauty and dignity into a bright and wholesome future, a future augmented by the positive use of technology's remarkable wonders and open-ended potential. This ends Chapter 6.